It's drilled to left field. Is it high enough? See ya! A walk-off grand slam, and the Yankees win.
And he drives one to right field over toward the line. Long run for Laureano, and he runs it, and the Mets win the ball game.
Episode 80 of The Burrows. As always, Kevin Bunk and Michael Marlowe coming to you for BTO Media. Monumental show for us, not only because it's episode 80, but because it took us 80 episodes to do a show without the Yankees or Mets playing. Really unfortunate for today's program.
It's just a little impressive, though. I mean, it is impressive. We got a great first year. And now, none of them are in it. Yankees couldn't extend. Obviously, Mets missed the playoffs. So now we're here, and it'll be a good one because there's a lot of good stuff to talk about.
Yeah, and we start with the championship series. Mariners and Blue Jays played yesterday. Mariners get the win. Tonight you have two games. 5 o'clock is, again, Seattle and Toronto. Then the Dodgers and Brewers take the field for the first game of that series. Last night, monster win for Seattle, who almost didn't get to the championship series. Their fans had to hold their breath for that wild card round. So we'll go through that. We'll go through preview for this Dodgers-Brewers series. We also will touch on the Yankees and wrap up the ALDS, NLDS a little bit because we haven't done an episode since, last Tuesday.
Yeah.
But what did you think of last night's game?
Yeah, it was interesting. Obviously, Toronto comes out hot. Springer hits the homer, and then they got two guys on base, and you're like, okay, they're going to put a couple of runs up here on this team. Bryce Miller on short rest, and you're like, okay, they're going to possibly run away with this early, and that was not the case. The Mariners retired 23 of the last 24 batters. We know they can pitch. We know they have great starting pitching. We know they have a good bullpen, but they pitched well in the Detroit series, but they weren't dominant. And I think they also played a bad offense, but you were facing a good offense in Toronto last night and on the road game one. I thought that was just super impressive what they were able to do as a staff overall.
Yeah, I was really surprised they were able to win this first game. After the 15-inning thriller to wrap up the division series, you would have thought they'd maybe limp into this one. Toronto had a few days off, and the Blue Jays were just jacked to play the Yankees. You hope, as a Blue Jays fan, your game one overreaction might be they kind of treated it as their World Series. I don't think they did. I think Seattle comes in and is a really good team and won game one, but you hope they didn't pour everything they had into beating and embarrassing the Yankees and kind of just took the last few days off because they thought that was the biggest test on their way to a World Series. Seattle's a really good team. These are two different offensive philosophies. We can get into that, but this team can slug in Seattle, and to lose the first home game of a Major League Baseball championship series, I always think is trouble because you have to play those 3 in a row on the road.
Yeah, it's huge. And Gausman was okay last night. He was good. He wasn't great. Couldn't give you exactly what you needed, though, giving up those 2 runs. Again, facing that pitching staff, it sucks, but that may not be enough. They didn't do enough last night. And Miller, again, I think somebody said, I think it was Polanco, or who's been great this postseason, or Cal had said, credit Bryce Miller on short rest again, going out there, giving them six innings, 1 run. And the 1 run was on the first pitch of the inning of the game for him. So it was very impressive. But the Seattle team, man, they're pesky. They're very pesky, and they can freaking pitch.
And you wonder just how Toronto responds tonight, because you lost the game that, for all the reasons we just laid out, you felt like a little bit of a favorite in, besides the fact that you were the better team in the regular season. But tonight, Logan Gilbert goes and Savage goes for you, who had the money start against the Yankees in the division series. Is the rookie able to pick it up tonight and even things up? Because, if you lose and go down 2-0 on the road, you're toast in the championship series. And I think Seattle, you were on them to start the postseason. You were on them 2 or 3 weeks before the postseason. Just feels so poised right now. They feel like they are locked in and just ready to defy the history of their franchise and just go to the World Series here. They looked awesome.
Playing their game, though, right?
Yep.
Again, it's low scoring. There wasn't these. They had the one game in Detroit where they kind of really put it on them, but it's their game, and they're not going to let Toronto beat them in their style. I think Yesivach, I think that's how you say it. Yeah, Savage, Yesivach, whatever it is.
Yeah, I think it's just Savage.
Savage, like yes,
That's
Savage.
how they said it on the broadcast. I thought it was Savage, but I think it's just Savage.
Yes, Savage.
Yeah.
I think he has a big game tonight again because you talk about being pumped up for that Yankee series. He was just, I mean, unbelievable against the Yankees that day, almost perfect. And you know that city and that team and that fan base was just locked in to beat those Yankees. I think that tonight it's almost, even though you're down 1-0, it's almost like less pressure for him because it is Seattle. It's not the New York Yankees on the other side. And also he's some threats from the Yankee fans. That's not what you want here.
No, you don't want to see that. It's a classy group of people. I would imagine that story's fabricated.
Right.
Not true, because it would never happen with this fan base.
He's pitching for a lot more tonight than just to even this series up.
He is. I think if Seattle's hitting the long ball, they are going to be impossible to beat. Whether that's the Blue Jays or whoever gets them in the World Series. I mean, the Dodgers maybe can go blow for blow with them with the home run, but I don't even think so. If Seattle's able to have these sluggers give them 1 or 2 a night, you're in a lot of trouble because their pitching is this the best pitching staff in the league?
It is. It probably is. I think overall, like including the bullpen, it definitely is. But like a Rosarena hasn't given you anything yet,
No.
and Julio Rodriguez hasn't, and Eugenio Suarez and Josh Naylor, guys you traded for, haven't done anything yet. So they need those guys to step up. And when they get those guys to step up, we know a Rosarena likes hitting the postseason. You get those guys going along with Cal, who's doing his thing. They could win the whole thing. I mean, it's the reason why I picked them. But when you see how they're pitching now, like their pitching is as good as you thought it could have been.
Mm-hmm.
Now you get those guys hitting, along with Polanco, who's been insanely clutch. You're not going to beat this team.
And then on the flip side, for Toronto, you don't love the pitching. You don't love how it's laid out for this postseason. That's why a lot of people would have picked the Yankees to win in that division series because the pitching does not favor them in any stop of the postseason. Their starting pitching will not be better. It was not on paper. It was not better than the Yankees. It was not, and it is not better than Seattle. And it's not going to be better than the Dodgers or the Brewers if you get through this round. So Toronto really needs the rookie to step up here tonight because he feels like the lifeline and the potential saving grace for this starting pitching staff.
He's the difference. He's the difference between this being mediocre and a little bit above average. He got Bassett back. Okay, Bassett's the number 3 guy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't love Bassett. Scherzer's on the roster. Great. Who gives a rat's ass? Gosman and Yesivach, those are your guys. Like, those are the guys that you need to step up in big spots. And if they don't tonight, if he does not tonight, yeah, this thing's done. And Gilbert's been great. He had 2 good. He came in right in the 18-inning game, I think, 15-inning game, I think. He had made a nice start. So it's on the other side, it's tough.
It is. It's almost impossible. There were trade rumors earlier in the year about Logan Gilbert. I don't know if you saw any of these.
Maybe a little bit.
He's got 1 year left on the deal, so there were trade rumors. Imagine this guy got moved, where they would be. Because you know how Yankee fans are and how Yankees world is. And Mets world's starting to get to it a little bit too. Whenever a guy's rumored or available, it's like, oh, we're getting this guy. We're moving for this guy. This is definitely a Met or a Yankee. So I remember seeing those earlier in the year. Logan Gilbert's awesome. They need Castillo to be great because he is a little bit of the wrench in this staff potentially. He's had the up and down season, but I don't know if it's been highlighted too much yet. Seattle's player development, the last 5 years, without looking at it and actually looking through their history in the organization, a lot of these guys, pitchers, position players, I mean, the development's off the charts.
Just think about this for a second. Bryce Miller last year was unbelievable. 12-8, 2.94 ERA, 180 innings, right? He was really freaking good. And this year was the complete opposite. Dealt with some injuries, only made 18 starts, had a 5.68 ERA. Last night gives you 6 innings, 1 run. We talked about it. Brian Wu did not pitch in this last series. He's been their best starting pitcher this season. Probably, might come close to the top 5 in AL Cy Young in a great race. He's going to be up there. They get him back for this series. So that just adds to this. He's on the roster. I don't know where they're going to deploy him, but he's on the roster now. How massive is that for this pitching staff? So when it goes to your point of the player development, it's been unbelievable.
Yeah, and this team's here with a 1-game lead, up 1-0 in the championship series. You mentioned Arozarena. Josh Naylor's given you nothing either.
Yep.
And 2 of your biggest veteran hitters have given you absolutely nothing. Suarez also has been awful. He has the 1 home run, but he's been terrible. He's got a 430 OPS, and he was awful since the trade deadline. But with those 3 guys struggling, you would have said there's no way they get to the championship series, potentially to the World Series. But Cal Raleigh is having an incredible 2 weeks here. You have Jorge Polanco has been really good. J-Rod has been good. Defensively, you're making the plays, but the pitching's been the story for a team who had more 30 home run hitters than anybody else, had a top 5 team OPS, top 5 team slug. For a team in that offensive echelon, it's been the pitching, which is always, always, always how it goes in October.
Yeah, and again, like this is a team that for years was known for their pitching and then made the moves they needed to make in the offseason and then at the deadline, Cal breaks out. And now this is a team that has both. Now it's a team that is scary on both sides. So again, tonight's huge. And you mentioned the hitters. We both talked about it, how they haven't gotten going yet. You look at this pitching staff and what you're facing, you're not sitting there shaking in your boots. This isn't the Dodgers starting pitching. This isn't the Phillies pitching here. It's not even the Yankee pitching. It's not even close to what the Yankee pitching offers. So you have a chance here to break out of the, whatever slumps you're in and get going at the right time and leading this team to a World Series.
Have you seen Julio Rodriguez home road splits this year?
I haven't. I just know his first and second half.
And that lends itself also. Maybe the worst out of the good players in baseball, maybe the worst home hitter
really
of all of them. I came across this yesterday. His home batting average 230. He's got 300 on base at home, and his OPS is 676. On the road, in 34 more at-bats on the road, he has 26 more hits, a 296 average, 341 on base, 571 slug compared to a 369 at home, and a 912 OPS. So on the road, J-Rod is the superstar we all thought he was going to be this year, but at home, he's the why did this guy get into the All-Star game player.
Yeah, but he stepped it up. He did step it up in that second half, and his numbers looked a lot better than they did. But yeah, that is absolutely insane. Is it not a hitter's park?
It is. You just don't see home road splits like that.
That's wild.
Just don't see it. But yeah, good for Seattle with the 1-0 lead. You got to be pretty confident in them to win this series.
I feel good. I don't know who I'm rooting for. I was having that conversation with my buddies last night. It's like, I usually root for the Jays. I always supported the Jays. But the Mariners are my pick. I got to root for the Mariners, right?
You got to root for the Mariners. Mariners are my pick. Blue Jays are your pick. Flip it. Yeah. Mariners are your pick. Blue Jays have been my pick.
So are you rooting for the Jays or are you rooting for the M's?
I don't know. I'm almost just rooting for the NL team to win the whole thing. But probably I'd rather, as the Yankee fan of me would rather see Seattle win.
Right.
The baseball fan in me, I'm a little partial to the Toronto lineup. I really like their offense. But you know what? I'd probably rather Seattle because next week in the World Series or 2 weeks from now in the World Series, I'd rather see their pitchers. I think pitchers play so much into the allure of World Series games that I'd just rather see Seattle's top 4 go out there versus what Toronto has to offer.
More of a complete team. I think they're better. They didn't look great in that. They didn't look great in the Detroit series. They really didn't. But I think they're the better team here.
I want to look up quick what their record by month was. Because at what point did Seattle, they were in second place for a while. And I've never felt until September, September was their best month. Okay, so it makes sense because they're a losing record team in May and June.
Right.
July, they're 2 games over 500. August, they're 3 games over 500. September, they go 17-8 and are the best team in the league in September. So they just stayed afloat and made sure to get hot the last month because they have felt like a better team. 4 wins in the regular season is a sizable gap, I think, difference between the Blue Jays Yankees and Mariners. But Seattle feels better than both coming into this postseason.
Yes, because of what you saw late, and that's what we always talk about. Though it's who gets hot at the right time, who can get going when it really matters. And it was, like we saw last year with the Mets and the Phillies 2 years back or 3 years back, and the Diamondbacks 2 years ago. And that's what it's about. It's about those surprise teams sometimes getting hot and going on that run. I don't necessarily believe they're a surprise team, but they are the team that has gotten hot here and gone on a run. We'll see.
And it's tough to call them a surprise team when you had probably the MVP the whole year on your team. I wouldn't vote for him, but I think
the reverse jinx is crazy.
It's not.
The reverse jinx is unbelievable.
Either way, you're the top 2 MVP. You can't be too surprised the team is where they are right now.
No, they're not. They're not a surprise team.
And the pitching's been great all year. That's the one thing that's been terrific all year. But they were able to get the hitting in the second half, get J-Rod going in the second half. I'm just waiting for these deadline guys now to show up. Suarez and Naylor.
Well, Suarez hasn't done anything all year for him. Naylor was good.
Yeah, Naylor
was good for them.
Have you seen his base running stats?
He lost a lot of weight.
He still is in the bottom lowest quarter percentile in sprint speed. But he's the best base runner in the postseason so far, and he was the best base runner in the league in September.
That's it.
Based on whatever analytics tell you base running, aside from just straight up stolen bases. And he's like 13 for 13 on stolen bases the last 5 weeks.
I saw a picture of him in Cleveland when they I guess they advanced. I don't even know what it was, but like he just looked like a pig.
I think he was gross. I think he is like the most intriguing free agent of the offseason.
He's one of them. Like, who would you pay more, him or Alonso? Analytically, it's him.
It's him. I don't know if I would pay him more, but I would want him more because I think he's going to get paid less. Does that make sense? Like, I don't think the gap is that big. I actually think he's more of a winning player because you get a guy who strikes out way less. What is a guy who gives you better defense and base running.
Is his defense that much better
than Alonso's? Yeah, I mean, Naylor's not winning Gold Gloves, but I watched a lot of Alonso at first base this year. I thought he was atrocious.
Yeah, he wasn't good.
After I thought last year he got a lot better at the position.
The goodwill that he had built up with the fan base, and I think a lot of people in the media kind of went away this year.
Yeah, I thought that and what's this now we're doing Met stuff, but what's this report about the 7-year deal? Like, you saw this, right?
Yeah.
The rumor that he wants a 7-year deal. So I understand that I always try to explain to people, and you understand this, but I always try to explain to people when a player in any sport hits free agency, they're going to ask for the unrealistic deal right away. Mm-hmm. Because if somebody gives it to you, you're glad you asked. And then you work your way down from there. But if Alonso actually seriously thinks there's a 7-year deal somewhere out there for him, he is going to be staunchly disappointed for the second year in a row.
Well, even not just from the Mets, I think from everybody. Like, the Mets 110% are not going there.
Like, nobody's going there.
If
the only way somebody went there is if he took like a 7 for 90 or 100.
Yeah. If somebody offers him 7 years, the Mets are going to say, all right, goodbye. Like, thank you, goodbye. So I think at 5 years, I think the Mets are like seriously considering other options, by the way.
Yeah. I think at anything above 3, I think the Mets are out.
I don't think he's a Met. I really don't. And apparently in that report or the day before, there was another one about Alonso and Cohen and how they really didn't they didn't really know each other. How did they not know each other? How is this possible? He's only boys with Nimmo and Lindor and Diaz. That's it. I don't get this. Something very weird going on. I don't think he's back. I really don't.
And not for nothing. Why does the owner? I'm in favor of the owner being like involved with the player relationships. Why is your relationship with the owner like have anything to do with your deal? There are so many distant owners in sports that have so many other things going on in their life. There's no way you don't see the owner every day. Like, they're not a part of the day-to-day stuff. I know Cohen probably is, but why does that matter?
I don't know. I think it just mattered because they got together for that negotiation in Tampa to get the deal done. And I think that's where that part came in, when Cohen went there, he didn't know. And again, I don't know how like true this is, but this is according to Mike Puma, the New York Post. Like they didn't have like this great relationship where they were buddy and knew each other.
I feel
Not
like
they didn't like each other.
I feel like that's a Boris play because it's the same thing with Soto last year before he signed with anyone. And it was like, he didn't really get to know Hal Steinbrenner very much this year. So what?
Right.
So, but if Alonso hasn't gotten to know Cohen yet, that's crazy because he's been here. He's been here the whole time he's owned the team. It's a problem both ways because
he's been here longer.
Yeah, I know, but for Cohen, this has been for a few seasons for you. This was your franchise player, and your marquee to this day, your marquee homegrown guy. But for Alonso too, if you in an era where you have the most expensive, now I'm changing my whole stance. In an era where you had the most expensive, willing to spend owner in sports history, you didn't get to know him when you knew a contract was coming up?
I don't know. I don't get it.
I would have had my wife or my mom making him baked goods every day. I would have had him at the house every day. What can we do for you, Mr. Cohen? We love seeing your wife is the best. We love seeing your family. So glad your daughter was able to come out to the game today. Let me give her some signed stuff. Like, let's take a pic. Great time. I would have done everything knowing my contract was coming up.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't get it. He's just, maybe this is all I don't know. Is it Boris? Like, Boris is weird. He's not a Met. He's not a Met. The Pete Alonso era is over as of October 13th. But
as of October 13th. How surprised would you be if in 7 weeks he's back?
It would
shocked. Just be a stunner right now?
I would be shocked.
Yeah.
A lot would have to go wrong for him, which, like, I also don't know if I want to see. Yeah. I don't think he's a great fit, Kevin. Again, the defense, the base running, everything about him. Like, I love him to death. He's my favorite Met. But I just, when you look at it from a baseball standpoint, how great of a fit is he? When I could go get two players instead, or one player that's a massive upgrade over him that doesn't play the same position.
Mm-hmm. I would go, like, if I was the Mets, I wouldn't do this as my plan, but I wouldn't be afraid of starting the year with Vientos and, like, I don't want to say Carlos Santana or Josh Bell.
No, but that kind of
you
player.
Get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind Carlos Santana, by the way, if that was my platoon lefty guy. If Schwarber's here, which I am fully. You see Schwarber after the game in Philly?
Yeah.
In LA, crying?
Yeah.
He's a Met.
You're just going to say he's not a Philly.
Well, he's definitely not a Philly.
He's a Met. What contract does Schwarber get?
4 years. It's going to piss Alonso off. Like 110, 120.
Spot Track has it at 4 for 100.
Yeah,
but you could be right. If there's any sort of a bidding war, you're in.
Right there. Cohen calls him up. Hey, Kyle, what did the Phillies offer you? We're at 4 for 100 right now. How's 4 for 120? Good. Come. Done.
Done.
I
want to see what they have Kyle Tucker at. By the way, we will be doing a full budget breakdown Mets Yankees offseason episode at some point in the next few weeks, right after the World Series ends.
We didn't do the Mets. Why? Because we did it after the Yankees signed Soto. The Mets signed Soto.
The Soto Plan B last year.
Okay, that's what we did. Yes. I knew it had something to do with Soto.
They have Kyle Tucker's value at 10 for 400.
I would not give him 10 for 400.
I would not either. And who is? Because one of the big players has to be the team that does it. Would Philly give him that much money?
If they lose Schwarber and you're moving on from Castellanos and maybe they're able to, they're saying goodbye to Real Muto, then maybe. But I think the Giants could get desperate. I know they already brought in Mr. Devers over there, but are they that desperate?
Could be.
Nobody else is giving it to him. He's a big name, good player. Not worth it, but guess what? We need to do whatever we can to get stars here.
Yeah, it could happen. Do you think the Mets make any run at Cody Bellinger? I think they meet with him for sure.
They'll meet with him.
I think they meet with him with genuine surface level interest.
I mean, from reports from the New York Post, like they like him.
Yeah, and he's a fit. If you want to talk about fits, like this is a guy who can play first base, can play center field for you, is a lefty bat who hardly ever strikes out. I mean,
it would not shock me. That Bellinger would not shock me. I just have a hard time believing he's leaving Yankee Stadium. And
I do too.
I have a hard time believing that.
And then I have a hard time believing that the Yankees would let him go to the Mets after losing Soto last year. Now your second best player is a great fit, and you're going to let him go. And that wouldn't be a bidding war thing where Cohen wouldn't lose with Bellinger. But they'd have a number. The Yankees would have to go over it a little bit to keep him, and that would be it.
You guys would get clowned again if you lose.
We would then our plan B again would put us into the playoffs while Bellinger and Soto are golfing in the last week of September.
God, I don't want to think about Mets baseball right now. I'm locked in the aisles. 3-1, and we're on a power play. How did they get to Winnipeg? What happened?
3-1 Winnipeg?
Yeah.
It's tough for your boys.
I need our boys, and I need the Islanders to win. I may or may not have money on them right now.
Nobody else is watching the Islanders in the world this passionately, so you obviously do have money on them. I didn't even know they played right now.
I'm locked in.
Let's go Dodgers Brewers here.
Yeah, we
bounce off the.
We disagree big time here.
Well, I mean, do we? But like,
we disagree on the Blue Jays.
You don't understand my concept. We'll get to that in a few minutes, though.
Okay.
Dodgers Brewers preview. I think Passan had a great point, which we've spoken about, you and I, that this has serious implications on the world of baseball because of the financial spending of the teams and union CBA, the bargaining agreements, and what the players' union is going to want to think and what the owners will think of the two salary differences. First and foremost, we're sitting here today. Who is your pick to win this series?
I think it's the Dodgers. I think the Dodgers going to the World Series. It'll be in 6 games. I think it's just that starting pitching is going to be too much for that offense. Where the Dodgers get into trouble is if the Brewers do a good job of working the pitch counts and getting to that Dodger bullpen. Mm-hmm. Because in a 7-game series now, Glasnow can't come out of the bullpen. Glasnow's got to make a start. So you're not being saved by multiple starters in that bullpen like you were in the Philly series where they were able to use Glasnow in game 1, and then they ended up going to him in game 4. But they're going to need length out of these starting pitchers, and I think they're going to have to use them all out of the traditional spot as a starting pitcher.
Since we did this kind of with the Blue Jays Mariners, who do you want to win this series?
I want the Dodgers. I do, because as both of us are fans of teams that spend big money, and we would like to see that continue. I think the Brewers being here is already a good thing. I think the fact that the Brewers, who have the 14th highest payroll and do things, really based on analytics, like every team in the league that doesn't want to spend money should be investing their money into the analytics and the way that these teams run their teams, like the Rays, like the Brewers here. You need to be doing this if you're not going to have the competitive advantage of spending big money on free agents. And the Brewers, I think, having the best record in the regular season and getting to the National League Championship Series is a good thing for those teams, but it's just the star power is going to be way too much of the Dodgers.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
4-1, by the way.
I agree with you. 4-1 tough, man. I mean, it's not looking good for you. Don't know why you would just donate money like that.
That's crazy.
I don't like to brag, but I'm gonna for a second.
Yeah, you could brag. It's fine.
This is second year in a row. First of all, we've done the show for 2 years. Second year in a row that I've gotten the entire championship series prediction correct.
You're just patting yourself in the back here. This is
bragging. It's a full brag.
Full brag. Okay, that's fine. I'm okay with it.
It's a full-on, complete brag.
That's fine.
Now, with the rooting interest part of this, I really just the baseball fan in me wants to see 2 new teams in the World Series. I'd love to see Milwaukee get in. Pat Murphy has become by far my favorite non-player figure in Major League Baseball. I've just become absolutely obsessed with him, the philosophy, everything that the Brewers do right, and that it feels like, not to sound like a complete boomer, like they play baseball the right way. in Milwaukee, and it's just been awesome to see. I don't know if that's going to be enough to beat the Dodgers, but time will tell. I'd be surprised if the Dodgers lost. I picked them to win the World Series, obviously, the whole way here, but it's going to be a good series. I'm shocked that Milwaukee, I know it was 5 games. I know it was close, but I felt like they looked a lot better against the Cubs than I expected.
Yeah, they did. Those first 2 games were not even close. They were big innings, and they got to him early, and the game was over. But they went to Chicago, and they struggled, man. They really did. They didn't play well in Chicago at all. They had the big loss in, I think it was game 1, the first game there. So, yeah, I was a little shocked, too. Are you shocked that the Dodgers are as big of favorites as they are in the series? And I'll pull up the exact number. But they're pretty hefty favorites to get back.
They're very heavy. I'm not too surprised. I think people have caught on to what we said a few weeks ago, that this team in the regular season, the win total was not a reflection of how talented they are and how well built the roster is when it's all healthy and all being used the right way. So I'm not too surprised about it. This team also won the World Series last year, so I don't think Brewers fans should be insulted. You're playing the defending champions. You have home field advantage, but, they're still going to be the team that everybody expects to get through. And, Milwaukee, history matters, haven't been here. You haven't gotten through to the World Series in this era of Brewers baseball. So do I expect them to just easily walk through the Dodgers this year? No, I don't. I think they have a really damn good shot. But if they win, it's going to be a 7-game series, I think.
Minus 205, by the way, the Dodgers.
Wow.
So you got to bet about $100 here to make $48 back, make $50 back. So they're big favorites. I mean, they're big favorites to win this. And they're big favorites to win the whole thing, by the way, too. So I think it's the Dodgers. Again, I'll say this, and I wrote a couple of things down, scanning through the Passan article. You can win. Like, I think it's already proven. The point is already proven that you can win without spending a ton of money. I think it is. I think it has been proven over the past couple of years as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you could have successful seasons. The postseason is so random. I mean, look at that stat on the Phillies. They struck out less times. They walked more times. They had more home runs, more hits. Their pitching was better, and they lost the freaking series, right?
Yep.
Like that's baseball, Susan. That is baseball. And the Major League Baseball season is so long. You get to these games, and in short series, crazy things happen.
Yeah, baseball's random, man. It's the best way to put it. It is.
The Brewers can win the F around and win the series. And then now we're having a completely different conversation.
I mean, the last few years, I think, have been the perfect example of that with this expanded playoff, is you see powerhouse teams who have always been there. Houston loses to Texas, and Philadelphia, who was the monster of the season, went to the World Series the year before, loses to Arizona, who won 84 games, whatever it was, and was the 6th seed. We see it every single year now, where little brother, the little guy, David versus Goliath, ends up. The Mets last year get to the championship series. Like, it's just a random month of sports, because you never know. I mean, one pitch really does change seasons in the playoffs. One bad pitch or one pitch that is made in a huge spot really does change the entire landscape of what comes next.
Yeah, 100%. And again, this could be a fun series. I think it is. The Brewers are athletic. They're an athletic team that plays good defense, and they can hit the home run, but they can also beat you with base hits and just keeping the inning moving and passing the baton to the next guy. And that's why if they get to the Dodger bullpen, they're going to have a really good chance here. So this is, to me, it's a 6 or 7 game series. I'm going to pick the Dodgers, but it's 6 or 7 games here.
Yeah, and I think, to go to my point that I made earlier in the week, touch on that now, why the Brewers Blue Jays, what I think potentially changed the philosophy of front offices moving forward, doesn't have to do with the spending. It has to do with the archetype of players that are brought in, that teams will stop going to the 3 true outcome guys throughout their order, which the Yankees have done and the Phillies have done now since 2017. This took over baseball, and they'll move back towards low strikeout rate. he walks a lot, puts the ball in play, because that's what Toronto and more so Milwaukee have to offer in their lineup and in team building. Clearly, Milwaukee's strategy has been get athletes who put the ball in play. They have one or two guys with high strikeout rates on that team. And both teams masterfully have built platoons into their lineups that in the bottom of the order have had awesome division series performances.
Yeah, no, I understand the point now, and it makes a lot of sense. I think teams are like, I think you look at like what the Mets are going to try and do here, and why I think Alonso's gone, and I'm using the Mets because Stearns comes from Milwaukee, and like they want these athletic guys. They want athletes. They don't want Pete Alonso anymore. They want guys that can play defense, get on base, but also be able to hit the long ball, because you're going to have to do it in the postseason. You have to score in multiple different ways. This Blue Jay offense, I could not buy into it all year long. And you get to the end of the year, and they're still in first place. They win the division. They have the best record in the American League. And I'm like, all right, well, I guess I was wrong. I'll take an L. But they are perfectly built offensively. Not last night, though.
Not last night. But it's going to happen, too, against great pitching. And when you talk about payroll and spending, how much would a Dodgers-Brewers series play into the potential 2027 lockout when the contract's up and they go back to the table to negotiate? How much does that actually play into the narrative that there needs to be a salary cap, there needs to be a salary floor? I mean, I guess there's more implication if the Dodgers win again.
But I feel like you can make the case for both, though.
Well, what would be the case for Milwaukee?
I think the case for Milwaukee is if Milwaukee wins, the big teams say, if I had another player, I could have beaten them, but I lost. Like, all the money in the world doesn't matter. We still didn't win. And it can go on either side. You could say, well, you didn't need to spend $500 million to lose the National League Championship Series. You could have spent $400, whatever the number is. And then on the flip side, you can say, I needed more players. If the tax wasn't so bad, if there's no salary cap, I could have got more players. I could have won the World Series.
Yeah, and that's why I think, though, that the Dodgers winning would say the Dodgers win this year and the Yankees or Mets win next year, or, San Diego wins next year. Someone with top 6 payroll wins again next year. So you're in 4 years in a row now of top 5 payrolls winning the World Series. I think especially if Toronto gets in again, because then you're going to be in 3 straight years of top 5 payrolls just participating in the World Series, not even just winning it. I think then the calls for the salary floor will be higher than or for a salary cap will be higher than the calls the other way, because if the Brewers win the World Series, or if they just beat the Dodgers and play Seattle, everyone's going to say, see, there's not an issue with baseball. The small market teams can win. The big teams were in it last year. The small market teams are in it this year. And we can move on without having to change the finances of it anymore.
But it's so goddamn frustrating because the Brewers spent their payroll's $121 million. Okay, 122 round up. And Seattle's at $101 million. Okay, the Cleveland Guardians won the freaking division, shed payroll, and they're at $42 million. Okay, that is their payroll this season. Okay, what if the Cleveland Guardians spent $40 million more on their roster this year? Right? What if they were at 80, which isn't asking much, but what if they doubled it? What happens? What happens?
Well, I made that point last year too with Soto.
It sucks. It sucks what some of these owners do, because the Brewers, you're capable of it. You are capable of being the Brewers in any given year. You're capable of being a Seattle Mariners. And I understand it takes a lot of player development and whatnot, and hitting on draft picks and international signings. I get that. But you can be these teams if you just put the effort forward.
Yeah, exactly. Did you see, I wanted to bring this up a few weeks ago. I'm trying to find the exact quote again, but I remember it really well. Did you see the White Sox I think it was The Athletic. It was a White Sox player anonymous interview talking about the team's season.
Mm-hmm.
And people are speculating it was Tommy Pham because it totally sounded like a Tommy Pham quote.
Okay.
But he said, and I couldn't agree more, said everybody likes to say we underachieved. We didn't. The owner spent $60 million. This is what it gets you in baseball. This is the team you're going to get with $60 million. We're not paying the best players in the league. So it's not underachieving. We played to what the owner paid to have on the field. And that's the case now for, 13, 14 teams in baseball. I mean, these are the bottom teams in payroll this year. Washington, bottom 5 is Washington, Miami, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Minnesota.
And stop there. And stop right there for a second. Which of those teams is committing money to younger players, player development, and analytics?
Who?
Miami. And look at the year Miami had, and they're the second lowest payroll in the league. And look at the year Miami had.
Yeah, and Miami out of that group, obviously far and away the best season. And then you go to the next 5, which are, there's 3 or 4 teams here that usually make it work. Cleveland obviously makes it work. Mm-hmm. Cincinnati was in the postseason this year. Do they make it work? That's another story. Tampa Bay does a good job with it. White Sox are horrible. A's, actually, I think the A's do an awful job with it. Typically, they do a good job, but I don't think that. I think that team could just be so much better.
They were bad
this year. Put a little bit of money into.
They were bad this year, worse than I thought.
And then you go to the round out the rest of the 15. Detroit, St. Louis, Colorado, Kansas City, Seattle. Seattle might be in the World Series. If Detroit didn't have Skubal, they're awful.
You're telling me they're paying Skubal $40 million a year?
No, they're not. So they're going to lose him.
We're going to have that conversation pretty soon about where he's going.
Yep. They're going to lose him. And St. Louis was terrible. Granted, St. Louis was in a year of transition this year. Yes. So normally they wouldn't be in this group. You can put Arizona or Milwaukee in. They're the next teams out. But up until the top 10, none of the teams were good besides Milwaukee, Seattle, Detroit, and if you want to include Cincinnati, fine.
Yeah.
Or Cleveland. But Cincinnati and Cleveland were never World Series contenders.
But then look at the top 10 of teams that spent money though. Mets not in it. Braves not in it. Padres bounced in the first. Red Sox bounced in the first. Houston didn't make it. 11 is Texas. They didn't make it. 12 is San Francisco. They didn't make it. 13 is the Angels. They didn't make it.
There's just a lot of different ways to build a baseball team. I mean,
Jeff Passan said it in the article. The extreme, like the players are on one side of the extreme and the owners are on the other side of the extreme, right? The answer is in the middle. The answer is in the middle here. The team that he's one of the final 14, 2 of the final 4 teams are in the middle of this at 14 and 16 in terms of how much money they spend on their roster.
So I think maybe the safe assumption to come to, the most agreeable assumption is you don't have to spend like the Dodgers, Mets, or Yankees, but you can't spend like Washington, Baltimore, Pittsburgh either.
And that's where I'm at.
You have to at least put in close to $100 million on your team, probably a little bit more if you want to be a legitimate World Series contender. And your player development better be damn good if you're only staying at $100 million.
There is no reason, and I mean, again, how many times do we have to say it? Hal Steinbrenner has said it. I'm sure Cohen has said it publicly. You don't need to. You don't want to, and you shouldn't have to spend $300 million plus a year on players to be competitive. There's a reason why David Stearns is here, to fix that issue of to not spend that much money on payroll each year.
And not for nothing, the Yankees payroll was 3rd in the league. It was like $290 million. 177 was active payroll. But figure out your spending. Some of these teams do a terrible job with it.
The Mets have the same issue. They had the same issue. A lot of names are coming off the books, but yeah, 100%.
Mets had a $105 million difference in payroll and active 26-man roster payroll.
It's insane.
$105 million. Do a better job. That's why not to go down this path, I hate to go down this path, this is where we are. When everyone blames Hal Steinbrenner for the spending, Brian Cashman's leaving $116 million out there. Guess who comes off the books this year? Aaron Hicks comes off the books this year for the Yankees. Marcus Stroman got a 3-year deal. He'll be off the books this year for the Yankees. Like, it's bad money. It's bad spending.
I was looking at the wrong rankings, by the way. I was looking at the 2026 rankings. So that's that's my bad. But yeah, it's insane. It's absolutely nuts. It's absolutely nuts.
It's just a bad job. It's just a bad job.
It's a really bad job. Milwaukee's 22nd this year.
And the
22nd.
Dodgers have mastered it. You know, the Dodgers have mastered it with spending the most money in the league.
Yeah.
They also have done a good job of identifying the players they're spending and spending on the right guys. Like, they're not sitting there with contracts that are 38-year-olds that can't play baseball anymore.
They're not right. That's fine. But they are sitting there with guys on the injured list for a lot of the regular season. Now, if those guys come back like Glasnow and like Sasaki, and they come back and, you know, they pitch well in the postseason, they lead to a World Series, fine, you got it. Like you like you said, they mastered it. But a lot of injuries, in the bullpen. They screwed up on the bullpen. They spent way too much money on this pen.
Yeah.
And these guys stink. Tanner Scott stinks. Kirby Yates got hurt. These guys stink.
And then also in the middle of the league of spenders, when you have a team like Arizona, or I'm sorry, like LA Angels, who gave a contract to Anthony Rendon, then you're sitting there like, we don't want to do this again. We don't want to risk this again. Mike Trout's contract has been awful. Anthony Rendon's contract is one of the worst of all time.
Yeah. The
Nationals are like, we gave Strasburg and Patrick Corbin all this money for what? I mean, we won the World Series,
right?
But they weren't good contracts,
right?
So they get scared off of doing it too.
No, they should. I mean, some teams, yes, like the teams that don't want to spend 100% because they look at all these failures. But
Colorado with Chris Bryant, like, how do they?
Right, and we talked about that.
Deal?
We talked about that for a while. Yeah, 100%. It's gonna knock them off.
I think the big thing in the next CBA will be the deferrals. I think that's going to be a big conversation. I don't know if you can do anything with it, but the fact that one team is being able to defer every contract they get right now culturally, and every other team is having a tough time or just neglecting to do that, is becoming enough of a conversation or significant enough to be talked about at the meetings. I don't know if anything would change. I don't know what you could do for that.
The issue is it's been around for so long, and teams used it, in the right way, because it could be good for the player as well. And it was done in I don't know what word I'm looking for, but just like a positive way, and now it's being used in a negative way.
Now it's being used in
I don't know what you do though.
In an advantageous team building situation that not everybody has access to.
But I don't know what you do. That's the problem.
I agree. I don't know what you would do. But do
you set a cap on how much a year you can defer?
Yeah, it would be something like that, because the Dodgers, I'm curious. I mean, the amount of money is going to go up naturally because of inflation. But 10 years from now, when all of these guys are still getting paid and one or two of them are still on the team and neither of them are good, what is the conversation like then? Like, are the Dodgers still spending recklessly? They have the richest ownership group in baseball. Are they still spending recklessly?
Most likely.
Probably. I mean, it's probably not going to hurt them.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't matter. They've paid off the Ohtani contract.
Yeah,
they've already paid that off with the deals they've done in Japan. So they don't care.
Let's all say it how it is. You're a big market team that wins a World Series once. It's billions of dollars extra that no one else is getting. You're the team that got that.
And they were the best team in baseball. They did a great job, and they're the best team in baseball again, and they're probably going to win again this year. So it's all going to be worth it.
It is.
They're going to start a little dynasty here. That's what they're going to do.
Little dynasty. This is a big year for dynasty talk. If the Dodgers can win it. If they don't, we'll see.
Especially when you don't have to deal with the Mets in there,
We'll do way more free agency stuff in 2 weeks. Mets stink.
I'm pumped.
Trying to squeak that in. Free agency talk's going to be awesome. Real quick, Mike Schilt done in San Diego. That happened today. Surprise. Didn't see that coming. Do you think this is a true retirement, or do you think this was a respectful, mutual parting of ways?
I think he wanted out. I think he wanted out of that situation. Obviously not a great ending. You got freaking Jose Iglesias and Xander Bogaerts screaming at the umpires. You got a loud clubhouse, big personalities in that clubhouse, and maybe it just wasn't the greatest fit in the world. They went to the postseason, but it might have just not been the greatest fit. So I think he wanted out. I don't know if he stays retired or not. I think he's a pretty decent manager. So I think if the right situation came about, he might come out of retirement. But, they're going to go, I think, with a younger guy as well, analytics driven. And, Preller will get some, his handpicked guy.
The job is becoming, I'm not going to overreact and say it's totally unattractive, but it's definitely not the job that Bob Melvin took a few years back. Like, it doesn't have that appeal, I think, anymore, because
they have issues organizationally, though.
They have serious organizational issues. The hitters come up short every year. I don't know. It does not seem like the easiest group to coach. Machado, Tatis, they do not seem like the easiest group of guys to coach.
And you have to come into a situation and you have to win. Like, yes. Obviously, you come to New York, you come to, Boston, this and that, LA, your expectations to win every year. But when the team is in place and the team has been in place, the team was in place when he got there, you have to go there. And if you're not winning in the first year, you're going to feel heat automatically. So this isn't this great destination for a manager.
Right now, I'm just looking through it. It's probably the 16th or 17th job I would take. Because
all of them were available.
Because I'm looking through this payroll list again. I still think I'd take Dodgers, Mets, Phillies, Yankees, Cubs, Cubs, Blue Jays, Astros, Giants, Braves, Red Sox, Mariners, Rangers, Tigers. I'd probably take St. Louis. I'd probably take Milwaukee, and I'd probably take Cleveland, and then I would take San Diego.
Wow. Taking Cleveland over San Diego. That's crazy.
I just trust the organization more.
Yeah.
That there's a structure and that there's a plan every day more than I trust what they're doing in San Diego organizationally on a day-to-day basis. But working for Preller, I'm sure he's a good guy. I have no idea. But working for Preller and a guy who can just unload an insane trade at any given time, or just completely shake up your entire team at any given time, it's got to be a little uneasy too. And he's almost in like a Cashman position where I feel like he runs the whole organization.
You think so?
I think he does.
Like he's calling the shots for you think Cashman's making decisions on who's coming in or not?
Yeah, I think I don't think Steinbrenner makes a single decision without Cashman's approval.
Wow.
I think it's all Cashman.
Interesting.
If it wasn't, I thought he would have been fired, 8 years ago.
Right.
World Series.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he called the shots. And I think since Peter Seidler died in San Diego, they've had a messy ownership situation. His brother John runs the team, but his kids are kind of involved in it too, and they don't know
and
who's
the
allowed
siblings
to
have
spend
been
money.
Fighting for it.
Yeah, they don't know who's allowed to spend money. They don't know. I heard this once that they don't know who gets the dad's money and how much because his will wasn't clear. Like that, it just tells me that there's so much going on with that family that Preller's kind of able to do whatever he wants.
That is not a good thing, by the way. That is not a good thing. AJ Preller with free will to do whatever the hell he wants.
I also don't know of many owners who allow this amount of irrational trade packages to go down if they're really in control. He is fully in control, I think.
And I don't mean this to be funny at all, but he must have known he was sick for a while and
he
told
definitely
Preller,
did. Yeah,
and was like, okay, let's get really aggressive.
He definitely see a World Series. Yeah. Because he did have terminal cancer, so he 100%. And he was 65 or 64.
Right.
So he knew he was dying.
So that makes sense as to why they were so aggressive. Now trading for Mason Miller when he was dead already, I don't really understand that.
No, that was just Preller.
That's
just locked into that mode, Dombrowski mode.
He can't. But I gotta say, out of it.
Peter Seidler, respect, man. Rest in peace. That's a sick way to try to go out.
Yeah, 100%.
This is his. That was his team. He loved that team.
And he changed, like, even before that, though, and whether or not it was the reason why they were spending money, like, they got aggressive, and they changed the way baseball's viewed in that city. Like, San Diego's a hot spot now for baseball.
So I had read once that Peter, and then we'll wrap up the show here. We'll do Yankee stuff later on when we do the free agency. I had read once that Peter Seidler, I don't know if this is true at all, so take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, go.
Internet, everything's true.
Right.
I read that he became a Padres fan because the rest of his family were Dodgers fans and he hated them. And like he just hated the Dodgers for some reason. I don't think he hated his family, but he hated the Dodgers for some reason. He was so tired of being just completely surrounded by all of it. So basically, despite them, he like became this huge Padres fan, then becomes a billionaire and buys the team. And like all he ever wanted to do was take over the West and win a World Series. And he came so close.
He came close. This I don't think this core ever wins a World Series. I don't think Machado gets one here. I don't think Tatis gets one here ever.
It feels like the Soto year. We said it a few weeks ago, but it feels like the Soto year was the year.
That was the chance. 2022.
Yep. And they had home field in that series too, I think.
Yep.
That was the year.
100%. Couldn't agree more.
Let's wrap it. We'll do Yankees and Mets offseason stuff in 2 separate episodes. So we'll do that once the World Series ends. We'll probably do another episode before the World Series, though, go through baseball. But we'll wrap here. We have exciting stuff, coming this week. We did Sunday recap last night. You can check that out. But also Friday, we're starting up our new basketball podcast. We'll announce more about it in the middle of the week. We have NBA play starting next Tuesday. So we're going full steam for that. And then, of course, gambling, BTO gambling. Check out the Instagram. Check out the playbook, as always, with Gabe Zota. And we will see you in the next one, which will probably be this is it. This guy, Peter Seidler, was the grandson of Walter O'Malley, who owned the Brooklyn Dodgers. And he did not like them at all.
Wow. That's crazy.
So I have a little bit of something that's true from the internet.
Let's go. You're locked into the internet.
Yeah. All right. So that's a wrap on today's episode. Appreciate you watching. Episode 80. We'll be back. Episode 81 later on in the week or early next week. Talk a little World Series. Talk a little championship series if it's still going on. And then, of course, free agency stuff for the Yankees and Mets. So thanks again. We'll see you in the next one. Always listen on Spotify or Apple Podcasts.